Have you ever looked at a grandparent or an older person in your community and seen not just a lifetime of memories, but a vibrant, living story? We often think of age as a period of winding down, a gentle retreat from the hustle of life. But what if it were something entirely different? What if the years from 65 to 80 were not a sunset, but a second, brilliant sunrise? This story is about a man who discovered that secret, a man who, against the quiet currents of expectation, chose to live not just fully, but ferociously. We're going to journey with him and witness the 8 rare habits that make a person a true gem in their later years. By the end, you'll see that age isn't a barrier to a rich, meaningful life, but a canvas on which to paint your most beautiful map. So, get ready to be inspired. This isn't just a story, it's a testament to the power of human spirit. Before we begin, please like this video to help spread this message. Subscribe so you don't miss any of our life-changing content, and let us know in the comments if you're ready to start this journey. In a sun-drenched cottage nestled by a whispering forest, lived an old man named Henry. At 72, most of his peers were defined by their ailments, their days marked by doctor's appointments and weary sighs. But Henry was different. His morning wasn't a slow creak out of bed, but a brisk, intentional rise. He'd step outside as the first light touched the world, not for a casual stroll, but for a purposeful walk that turned into a vigorous hike. His worn hiking boots, a testament to countless miles, carried him up winding paths as if he were a man half his age. This wasn't a chore, it was a conversation with the world, a moving meditation. His neighbors would often watch, bewildered, as Henry effortlessly tended to his sprawling garden. He'd kneel, dig, and hoist heavy bags of soil with a focused strength that spoke of a body still very much alive. This autonomy was his anchor. He cooked his own meals, repaired his own fences, and handled the daily rhythm of his life with a graceful independence. Each chore, each task, was a defiant act against the notion of decline. It was his way of saying, "I am still here, and I am still capable." Henry's diet was as disciplined as his movements. He saw food not as a fleeting pleasure, but as the fuel that powered his vibrant existence. His garden was a vibrant testament to this philosophy, overflowing with nutrient-rich vegetables, herbs, and fruits. He believed in feeding his body what it needed to thrive: the rich colors of nature, the earthy flavors of the soil, and the simple elegance of a clean, whole food diet. He largely avoided the processed foods and empty calories that had become a staple for many, understanding that his plate was the foundation of his energy, his clarity, and his ability to live life to its fullest. This commitment to his physical well-being was a silent symphony. His strong posture, the ease in his movements, the clear look in his eyes, they all told a story of a man who listened to his body and honored it. He was a living paradox, a man of great age who moved with the agility of youth. His body was not a forgotten relic, but a finely tuned instrument, and he played it with the wisdom of a seasoned musician. His physical health was not a lucky accident. It was the result of a lifelong, deliberate love affair with his own body. While Henry's body was a marvel, it was his mind that truly set him apart. His brain was not a quiet attic of memories, but a bustling workshop, constantly engaged in creation and discovery. After his morning walk, he'd often sit with a stack of books, not for leisure, but for intellectual combat. He wasn't just reading novels. He was devouring tomes on quantum physics, ancient history, and philosophy. The words were a training ground for his mind, a constant exercise in understanding complex ideas and connecting disparate concepts. He sought out knowledge like a prospector seeking gold, always digging for deeper truths. His neighbors often marveled at his problem-solving skills. When the local creek flooded and a key bridge was threatened, it was Henry who meticulously analyzed the water's flow and came up with a simple, yet ingenious, solution using salvaged material. He didn't see the problem as a dead end, but as a puzzle to be solved, a challenge that required creative thinking and a calm, reasoned approach. His brain, well fed with knowledge, was a powerful tool, allowing him to see solutions where others only saw obstacles. He relished these challenges, seeing each one as an opportunity to sharpen his cognitive edge. The spark of curiosity in Henry's eyes never dulled. He was a lifelong learner, not out of necessity, but out of an unquenchable thirst for discovery. When a new technology emerged, he didn't dismiss it. He learned it. He learned to code, not because he needed a new career, but because he was fascinated by the logic and structure of it. He watched documentaries on faraway lands, studied new languages through apps on his tablet, and engaged in spirited debates with people of all ages. His mind was a sponge, forever absorbing new information. He understood that a curious mind is a youthful mind, a mind that refuses to settle into intellectual slumber. This relentless pursuit of knowledge and understanding was a quiet revolution. Henry didn't just remember things. He analyzed, synthesized, and created. His mind was his greatest asset, and he treated it with the respect it deserved, feeding it new challenges and experiences every single day. He proved that age is not a sentence for intellectual decline, but a platform for a rich and ever-expanding landscape of thought. His mind was a testament to the fact that the most valuable things in life are not the ones we accumulate, but the ones we continue to. Henry understood that a life lived in isolation, no matter how intellectually or physically rich, was a hollow one. His days were woven into a beautiful tapestry of human connection. He was the community's elder, not because of his age, but because of his presence. He was the first to offer a hand to a young family moving in, the patient listener to a neighbor's troubles, and the storyteller who kept the history of their small town alive. His relationships weren't transactional. They were deeply rooted in a shared sense of humanity and a genuine care for others. He was a fixture at the local community center, not as a passive observer, but as an active participant. He organized weekly chess tournaments, not just to play, but to engage with different generations, to learn their perspectives and share his own. He volunteered at the local animal shelter, finding solace in the quiet companionship of the animals and joy in the shared mission of the other volunteers. These activities were not just hobbies, they were lifelines, anchoring him to the world and to the people who made it vibrant. He was an active part of his community, a cog in the wheel, and he loved the feeling of being useful and connected. The younger people in the town sought him out not just for his wisdom, but for his willingness to listen and his refreshing lack of judgment. Henry mentored a young artist, an aspiring writer, and a curious high schooler, sharing his experiences and offering gentle guidance. He wasn't a lecturer. He was a guide on the side, a steady presence who believed in the potential of others. In doing so, he created a beautiful cycle. He enriched their lives, and in turn, their energy and perspectives enriched it. He understood that true connection is a two-way street, built on mutual respect and shared experience. Henry's social life was a testament to the power of human bonds. He had an extensive network of friends, spanning generations and backgrounds, all held together by his genuine warmth and his effortless ability to connect. He proved that age doesn't have to narrow your circle, it can broaden it, opening you up to a richer, more diverse array of relationships. His connections were his greatest treasure, a living testament to a life spent, not just accumulating knowledge and strength, but also love and companionship. Henry's life was not defined by wealth, but by a profound sense of security and peace. Years ago, he had made a series of careful choices, laying the foundation for a life free from financial stress. He was a master of responsible budgeting, meticulously planning his expenses and living well within his means. He didn't chase fleeting trends or luxurious purchases. He invested in his own well-being and in the simple, enduring pleasures of life. His home was modest but comfortable, his needs were few, and his peace of mind was immeasurable. His retirement planning wasn't a last-minute scramble. It was a deliberate, long-term strategy. He had consistently contributed to his savings, diversifying his investments, and seeking sound advice. He didn't have to worry about outliving his money because he had planned for a long, vibrant life. This careful foresight gave him the freedom to live his life on his own terms. He could travel to see his friends and family, indulge in his hobbies, and even donate to causes he believed in without a second thought. His financial security wasn't about being rich, it was about being free. Henry had achieved true financial independence. He wasn't beholden to a job he didn't love or a schedule that didn't suit him. He woke up each day with the knowledge that his choices were his own, unburdened by external pressures. This independence gave him a quiet confidence. He could make decisions based on his values, not on his bank account. It allowed him to say yes to new experiences and to fully embrace the unexpected twists and turns of his later years. It was the foundation of his peace, a silent force that empowered him to live his life with dignity and autonomy. For Henry, financial security wasn't a goal in itself, but a means to a more fulfilling life. It wasn't about what he had, it was about what he didn't have to worry about. His careful planning allowed him to focus his energy on the things that truly mattered: his health, his mind, and his relationships. He was a living example of the idea that true wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in the freedom and peace that a secure future can bring. Henry's most remarkable quality wasn't his physical strength or his sharp mind. It was his emotional resilience. He had lived long enough to know that life is a series of joys and heartbreaks. He had faced loss, disappointment, and setbacks, but instead of letting them break him, he allowed them to mold him into a more compassionate and understanding person. His positive outlook wasn't a naive optimism, but a deliberate choice. He found joy in the smallest moments: the warmth of his morning tea, the beauty of a new bloom in his garden, the simple act of a kind word shared with a stranger. His resilience was a well-honed skill. When a major storm damaged his home, he didn't despair. He saw it as a challenge, an opportunity to rebuild, to create something stronger and better. He approached problems with a quiet determination, understanding that a setback is not the end of the road. He was a master of bouncing back, of taking the lessons from adversity and moving forward with renewed vigor. This inner strength was his shield, protecting him from the corrosive effects of negativity and self-pity. Henry's life was guided by a profound sense of purpose. It wasn't a single, grand mission, but a tapestry of smaller, meaningful contributions. He found purpose in nurturing his garden, in mentoring the young, in the simple act of making a neighbor smile. This sense of purpose gave him a reason to rise each day with enthusiasm. It was the fuel that powered his emotional well-being, giving his life a deeper meaning, and a feeling of being a valuable part of the world. He understood that a life without purpose is a life lived in emotional drought, and he made sure his was an oasis of meaning. His emotional well-being was a testament to a life lived with intention. He had cultivated a rich inner world, a place of peace, contentment, and quiet strength. He was a living example of the idea that a person's emotional state is not a product of their circumstances, but a result of their mindset. He had found a way to not just cope with life's challenges, but to thrive in the face of them, turning every obstacle into a stepping stone on his journey toward inner peace. Henry's spiritual growth was a quiet, internal journey, not tied to any rigid doctrine, but to a deep sense of connection to the world around him. He found his spirituality in the silence of the morning forest, in the patient rhythm of the changing seasons, and in the intricate design of a flower. He cultivated a quiet awe for the universe, for the unseen forces that connect all living things. This was his church, and his worship was the act of living in harmony with nature and with his own inner self. His spiritual life was a constant act of self-reflection and inner work. He was a student of his own thoughts and feelings, constantly seeking to understand his motivations. He practiced mindfulness, not through formal meditation, but through the simple act of being fully present in every moment. When he was gardening, he was only gardening. When he was talking to a friend, he was only listening. This presence was a spiritual discipline, a way of honoring the moment and finding a deeper sense of connection to the now. Henry believed that his purpose was not to just exist, but to contribute to the greater good. His acts of kindness were his prayers, his helpfulness his offering. He believed in the interconnectedness of all things and saw his actions, no matter how small, as part of a larger spiritual web. This sense of contributing to a cause larger than himself gave his life a profound sense of meaning. It was the driving force behind his generosity, his patience, and his unwavering belief in the good in others. His spiritual journey was one of quiet contemplation and outward action. It wasn't a rigid set of beliefs, but a way of being. He had found a peaceful core within himself, a quiet confidence that was not dependent on external validation. His spiritual growth was a testament to the idea that a truly fulfilling life is one lived not just for oneself, but with a sense of purpose and connection to the vast, beautiful world. For Henry, the concept of a growth mindset wasn't a trendy buzzword. It was the air he breathed. He believed that his capacity to learn was limitless, a truth that set him apart from many of his peers, who had long since decided they had learned all they needed to know. Henry's home was a living testament to his insatiable curiosity, a workshop filled with half-finished projects, a library spilling with books on subjects as diverse as ancient weaving techniques and modern astrophysics. He was not afraid to be a beginner, to stumble, to learn something new for the sheer joy of it. His adaptability was a well-honed skill, not a genetic trait. When his grandchildren showed him their new smartphones, he didn't sigh in exasperation. He asked for a lesson. He learned to navigate social media, not to follow trends, but to stay connected to their lives. He learned how to use a 3D printer, not because he needed anything from it, but because he was fascinated by the technology. This willingness to embrace new things, to step out of his comfort zone, kept his mind agile and his spirit young. He understood that a refusal to adapt is a self-imposed prison. Henry's lifelong curiosity was a quiet engine that powered his every day. It drove him to explore, to question, and to discover. He took an online course in botany to better understand the plants in his garden. He delved into the history of his small town, unearthing forgotten stories and sharing them with the next generation. This perpetual learning wasn't about acquiring facts. It was about enriching his understanding of the world and his place in it. He was a living example of the idea that the journey of learning never truly ends. For Henry, the journey was the reward. He was a living embodiment of the fact that age is not a barrier to growth, but an invitation to a deeper, richer form of learning. He had cultivated a mind that was not a storehouse of static knowledge, but a dynamic, ever-expanding universe of ideas, and that made him a true rarity. Henry's final, and perhaps most powerful, attribute was his profound sense of humor. His laughter was a well-known melody in their small town, a deep, joyful sound that came from his belly and lit up his eyes. He didn't just appreciate jokes. He found humor in the mundane, the awkward, and the unexpected. When he stumbled on a route during a walk, he didn't curse. He laughed, marveling at his own clumsiness. His ability to laugh at himself was a sign of a deep inner peace. He wasn't so concerned with a rigid sense of dignity that he couldn't find joy in his own imperfections. His lightheartedness was a gift to everyone around him. He had an infectious way of diffusing tension and lifting spirits. When a friend was worried about a small, inconsequential problem, Henry would often share a comical anecdote from his own life, a small story that gently reminded them not to take things so seriously. This levity was not a form of avoidance. It was a powerful coping mechanism, a way to navigate life's challenges with a lighter heart. He understood that a serious mind can get bogged down, but a playful spirit can float above the fray. Henry's spirit was filled with a childlike playfulness. He'd create silly little games for his grandchildren, build whimsical sculptures out of found objects, and on a whim, start a spontaneous dance party in his living room. This playful nature was his secret to staying vibrant and connected. It allowed him to fully savor life's simple pleasures, to see the world not just as a series of responsibilities, but as a playground. This inner child was never forgotten. It was embraced and celebrated. His sense of humor was not just a personality trait. It was a philosophy of life. It was a conscious choice to seek out joy, to laugh in the face of adversity, and to never lose a sense of wonder. He was living proof that a good laugh is more than just a fleeting pleasure. It is a powerful tool for resilience, a bond that connects us all, and a sign of a truly beautiful, rare gem of a soul. And so, we come to the end of Henry's story. We've seen a man who defied expectations, who proved that age isn't a limitation but a foundation for a life of unparalleled richness. He showed us that physical strength can be maintained, that a mind can remain sharp, that social bonds can be nurtured, and that financial freedom can bring peace. He taught us that emotional well-being is a choice, that spiritual growth is a personal journey, that learning is a lifelong adventure, and that a sense of humor is a light that can guide us through the darkness. Henry wasn't just an old man. He was a rare gem, a shining example of what is possible when we live with intention, purpose, and a fierce love for life. His story is a powerful reminder that the journey of a lifetime is a continuous one, and that the best chapters are often the ones we write in our later years. So what have you learned today? Which of Henry's habits do you want to adopt? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear how you plan to embrace your own rare gem qualities. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires you to live your best life. Thanks for watching. Hit the bell icon for the daily updates. Please do like, subscribe, and share with your friends.